What is good with it? It's your boy Fireman E Tv back at it and back again with another video. And as you can see, we switching up the content just a little bit. I just want to, take a break from just regular gameplay. Y'all still gonna see some gameplay, but I also wanted to add some tips and tricks that I've learned that I'm applying to when I play Hardpoint. So I just want y'all to just chime in down below if you like the tips, if you can add more context to different things that I might have missed, or just overall feedback. So we're going to start with 5 tips, you guys. So before we get started, can I get a like, can I get a share, can I get a subscribe, man? So right now I just wanted to start by going straight into it with number one, and number one is very important to me. This is no order of importance, but all of them are important, but I definitely want to start with spawns. Now, when it comes to spawns in Call of Duty, we understand that it could be issues involved with spawns, but you just got to read exactly where your team is spawning, and also pay attention for spawn trappers. Spawn trappers, for those who don't know, are people that will stay from the opposite team in the back, or at a pinch point to where you guys can't see them, pre-aiming and just trying to get you as soon as you spawn, just trying to, keep you right there at that spot in order, to take an advantage to hold down a hard point, or just take advantage of just holding you guys back. So spawns are very important, so you have to pay attention that they can flip at any moment, and when they flip, that's majority of the opposite team kind of taking over one spot. That will cause a flipping spawn from you guys, whether the other side from where they started from, but it's also other spawn points other than where you guys start from, like one side versus the other. You can spawn on the side, you can spawn like in upper quarters, lower quarters, depending on the map layout. So keep that in mind. Spawns are very important, and according to apply that to a hard point, it's very important that if a team is spawning on the opposite side of the hard point and you're on the approaching side, the key element is to find more of a position that you can start pushing them back. Don't just approach the hard point with the intent just to shoot and think that the best choice of gunfight is just attack. You actually have to find vantage points, because if they have a whole team there, you might have to drop on one person, but obviously it'll be more, and obviously you got to check for flanking, people that approach from a side, tacticals, just claymores. Anything can be set up when you're approaching this, so just keep that in mind. Spawns are very important. Read the map. You can see where people are dying. You can see when your team is popping up. You can see as they spawn in. If they get killed, you see them spawning in and say, okay, this is where we're spawning from. So it's either can be minimal trouble in that area because it's more of you guys, but also you can understand that majority of your team is at that point, and obviously that the enemies will be spawning from another side. So that's one thing that I wanted to give a tip as far as spawns. I'm sure it's more details, but I just wanted to brief it at that. Now, the second thing is a slash, meaning you have communication and reading the map. Communication applies to when you actually communicate with your team, and that's if you choose to be vocal with your team, being on the mic or being in the lobby per se. You gotta keep in mind that it's so many different variables that come with communicating. Communication can be if you're continually getting killed from one point and it's a sniper over there, or you continually running into somebody that might be knifing, and they're moving really fast and things like that. So that's communicating just on a basic tactical level, as far as just the killing side of the game, or whatever the case may be. But also you got to keep in mind that most people that communicate might not know how to say exactly where they are. So that's something that I'm learning myself when it comes to playing with different people, being in the lobby. Sometimes you have to read the top of the map. You actually have like the north, south, east, west. You got names of rooms, names of different areas of the map. They actually very thorough with that, but most people don't pay attention because they'll be so they're so focused on gunfights and playing objective, and I understand that completely. So me being a avid watcher of the game, also a avid just like being in tune with the technical side, and that's where I want to get better at, and I feel in turn that will make me better as a player. Now, when you're playing solo and you're not in the lobby, so reading the map is key. Now that kind of goes back into reading the spawns. That kind of goes back into, seeing where you see the most deaths happen in that, when you see those skulls on the screen, depending on how you have your settings. All of those things matter when reading the map, so you know how to approach, because most people that don't know how to approach automatically is taking seconds off of you being in the hard point, and being in the hard point, finding the key spots, or where they're pushing from, or if your team is strong enough to actually find a position in the hard point, or you have teammates that protect the outside of the hard point. I do that a lot, but I'm trying to mix and match that, when it's time to step in and do the objective, and to protect the objective as well, depending on how much the other team is either rushing or trying to gain advantage of being in a hard point. So 2 things: communicating with your team and letting them know, different things. And as you can see with pro gamers, they do certain things as far as repeating things twice, because people can get things mixed up. They were like, from the left, they flanking from the left, like they're repeated. And I feel like that's a key attribute that, even if you're a casual, it still can make it fun, make it more interactive, make it more intense, make it more like, interesting as you play throughout each gameplay. So that's just another step that I like to take my game to when I communicate with people that I play the game with. I like to communicate and let them know what's going on. Hey, they pushing from this side. Hey, they pushing from that side, or they trying to flank, or sniper posted here, or they're laying down in a hard point, so you won't go in gun straight up, things like that. So communicating and reading the map, just combine those 2, depending on your scenario. You can actually do both. Don't isolate just communicating just because you're communicating on the mic. Read the map as well. I don't want to take that away. Now, the third thing that I want to speak about is positioning. Now, when you play the game just on any game mode, positioning is key, solely because you want to have everything covered. Meaning, it's like you just want to have that field of view of what the game gives you. It's a screen, so you want to see everything from that view. You don't want to be in situations where you got to turn around and really try to just complete a gunfight directly behind you. So you want to make sure you're covered, make sure it's no flanking going on. That means somebody's coming, approaching from behind you, or different things like that. You want to have your back semi against the wall a little bit. If you're approaching from the right, stay close to the right. Don't just go to the right but still have some space to the right, because that can be a space for an enemy to approach. Also, you got to keep in mind pre-aiming. Pre-aiming is also positioning, because if you have the field of view where you are fully to the right, for example, and you're hugging that right wall, you want to have that field of view to where you see different angles that somebody could be approaching from. You got to think like the enemy, and that's another way of positioning. You got find in your mind, like, okay, if I was them, what would I do? So positioning yourself against the wall, positioning yourself, making you a smaller target. And that goes with, like, if you're approaching the doorway, don't be fully in the doorway. Kind of approach it with, like, maybe where you can just peek and just I kind of do it like a zigzag when I approach doorways or long hallways to see, because if you just approach and if that gun connect, those shots connect to you, it could be over, or it can be a few hits and you can recover if you do like a slight little zigzag. Don't just be a straight target, kind of maneuver, slide, do different things, just pre-aim. Sometimes you can switch to your secondary. That's another option that most people don't think about, to move faster. If your secondary is a pistol more so, or a knife, and then you can hurry up and swap back to your primary weapon and things like that. So positioning is key, making yourself a smaller target, hugging the wall, making sure you have a better vantage point than the other team. And also with positioning, you can find yourself in a good position in the hard point. Just focusing back on hard point is by having your back against the wall, and you're going to have disadvantages in certain maps depending on your team, but you also have to have certain things in your arsenal as far as trophy systems, You can have a guardian and different things, just a munition box where you can have more tacticals or claymores. It's so many different ways you can approach. I don't want to specify it. You find your own lane within the things that they give you. That's the only thing that I can speak on directly with that. So positioning is key. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4 is approach. Now, approach can be taken different ways. If you're an aggressive player, if you're passive, if you like to snipe, you have like maybe an LMG or a marksman rifle. You have to move different ways. You have to find like key moments to position yourself and have that vantage point. Because when you approach an enemy that rushes and that's moving really, really, really quick, you have to know that, okay, I can't just approach him in a way that I want to when it comes to somebody else playing style. You have to play more defensive in that state. So my approach, I'm more of a rusher, but I like to pre-aim a lot. And I like to, maneuver around close gunfights. Try to find a good vantage point for me to shoot, or for me to have the enemy at my advantage instead of me reacting to them. I like to be proactive. So if you're a reactive player, or you're just trying to find key moments to choose certain gunfights, your approach has to be fit for the approach that works for you. So if you're playing against a team that's very tactical, that you can tell that's communicating, teams that really make it their business to really spread out the way that they approach gunfights and team efforts, I'll take the sniper, you take the LMG, SMG, assault rifles, different things of that nature, and switching up kill streaks, and it's so many different ways. So with your approach, you have to read what the enemy's doing. That's the key about approach that I want to get over to you guys, is reading what the enemy does, and that's where you get your key elements in that light of approach. So also, I want to take in the fact that when you approach with people that are very, very advanced in the game, I feel as if you should use things like when you mount your gun and find a great position. Switch out your lethals with something more stationary like claymores. Use like sentry guns as your kill streak, and make sure you have a UAV, things like that, to where you don't have to play directly by skill, but play to your advantage. It's almost like booby traps in a sense. So keep that in mind, especially when you're playing Hardpoint. That's very, very, very key, that you can do something that somebody on your team is not doing. So if they have this, you go to the other thing, and that can give you a better advantage even against advanced teams, because you'll be able to cover bases of what somebody else is not doing. So yeah, approach is key. Now the final topic and thing that I want to cover as a tip and trick for you guys is choose objective over gunfights. Okay, so this is a tough one. So when you choose an objective over gunfights, I feel as if the best advantage to have when you have objective players is that when you narrow down the playing field of just risking yourself and worrying about your KD and worrying about what other players might think, if you look at it, you might be 12 and 28, but you got 3 minutes in the hard point. That's the name of the objective. You playing the game for what the objective is. Now you have players that play like that. You got players that are advanced enough to do both. Sometimes I try to pride myself on doing both, but sometimes it's like I might break even. I might go a little negative because I'm an aggressive player. So I will have more gunfights, or have more gunfights that not in my advantage. But it's overall, it's still just about how you approach the game in your way. But these elements, as far as just making sure you keeping in mind that objective is what you choose it for. You can go to team deathmatch if it's just about you shooting, or if you want to capture something and keep it moving, you can play domination. Or if you want to tactically approach a team and try to understand where everybody is but still have an objective, you got kill confirmed, you got S&D, you got it's just too many. It's just so many different ways that you can approach the game. But when it comes to Hardpoint and playing objective, and jump in that hard point knowing that 4 enemies are approaching. You want to get in there and get those vital 20 seconds to kind of spread that time out, and knowing that the hard point is about to switch. Go in there, run in there, play that objective. Don't just be like, oh, I'm about to get my kill streak and things like that, because most people don't, consider the fact that, those 20 seconds, those 15 seconds is vital before you just say, oh, this when, when you hear that announcement, oh, the hard point is about to switch to a different spot and things like that. So I just want to throw that out there with a grain of salt, because I'm sure that most people won't take that and just have it as a clear thing to say, hey, go in there and just risk it all every single time. No, I'm not saying that. Just make sure you choosing key moments. And if you're down, this is one thing as a side note, that most people don't pay attention to. If you're down, let's say maybe 20 to 30 seconds, if you go find yourself positioning yourself at the next hard point where you see that lock on the screen and it's about to switch it to that spot, if you find yourself, you can find yourself in the corner. Some of those corners might not be directly in the hard point. Maybe it's good to knock off 1 to 3 enemies before you approach it, especially if it's unoccupied, and that'll give your team time enough to get there. It'll give their team a reset to say, hey, somebody's on this side. And as soon as you knock those 2 or 3 enemies off, make sure you reposition in the hard point. So even if they approach, that area, say again, with more teammates, they'll be glancing in that corner defensively to say, like, is he still there? Now you have a different vantage point to attack that enemy. That's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They just run into the next hard point thinking like, hey, I need those seconds, to catch back up. If you show threats from one area, you can position yourself, and that kind of falls in that position category, to go to another area of the hard point. And now they are approaching with multiple ways of like, well, they was on this side, I got killed from this side, and then they're looking at the other side. It's like you kind of throwing the enemy for a loop. So those are the tips and tricks that I feel that would be beneficial to, any type of player. For most of this would be non-aggressive, but Hardpoint is an aggressive gameplay and an aggressive mode on Call of Duty. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, and I appreciate you guys, for tuning in. I'm still trying to grow the channel, still trying to build. I'm coming at, the channel with different goals, different things that I want to just, expound upon. I want to play with different people, whatever the case may be. So hopefully these tips and tricks help. Drop down below what you think of these tips and tricks, and maybe you can give me more tips and tricks down below in the comment section, and I definitely apply it to my game. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Fireman E Tv, representing Hardpoint Heroes. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Peace.